Hi and welcome to Priori Digital Studio tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your small business bundle in the most efficient way. In this video, I'm using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of our cells where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So for example, if by mistake you see this message, it means that you are not supposed to touch it. But don't worry, I'll show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. So if unfortunately you touch to a cell with a formula and you see this message, you simply have to click on the X and that's it. So to easily differentiate the bookkeeping part to the small business part of the spreadsheet, we basically put different colors on the tabs. So the two tabs in orange here, Bookkeeping Setup and Order Setup, are the tabs where you will enter the important information to set up the rest of the tabs. All the tabs in blue here are the tabs for the bookkeeping part, and all the tabs in green are the tabs for the small business tracker part. But don't worry, I will explain everything in this tutorial. So the first tab of the spreadsheet is the bookkeeping setup. In this tab, you will set up all your information for the bookkeeping part of the spreadsheet. In step 1, you have to enter your currency symbol. So I am in dollars, so I can simply add the dollar sign. Then in step 2, you enter the date where you want to start the spreadsheet. So in my case, I can just double click on the cells and I see a calendar. Then I choose the date. If you are using Excel, make sure to type in the date. Then in step 3, enter all the different income and expenses categories you think you will need. Don't worry, you can add more later if needed. I already added a few examples, but here I will add another one, physical products, let's say. Perfect. Then in step 4, if you scroll down, you will have to enter your monthly profit goals. Those goals will be used in other tabs. So I already filled in everything, but basically you just manually enter it. So the next tab is the transaction tracker. The transaction tracker is the key part of the bookkeeping section. All the data will be taken from this tab, so fill it up carefully. This tab is very intuitive. You just have to enter the data in all the columns. So I already filled in a few information so we can understand better all the other tabs. But I'll take an example. So let's scroll down. The first thing you want to enter is the date. If you're using Google Sheet, you simply have to double click and choose a date. If you're using Excel, again, you will need to type in the date. Then you can write an invoice number. Then you will use the drop-down menu to click on either in income or an expense. So let's say I have to put in an expense. Then use the drop-down menu again to choose the category of expense. So as you can remember at the beginning of the video, I added physical products. So again, if you want to add more categories later on, you can, and they will be added to the drop-down. Then you have to enter the net amount. So let's say $450. Then the taxes. So let's say $15. Then the third column is for other fees. In my case, I don't have any. And at the end, the total amount will be automatically calculated. Then if we scroll up, as you can see, the two last columns are for the description and notes, if needed. As you can see at the top of the column, you also have a filter. So if you want to filter your columns, let's take an example with the income and expense. You simply have to click on the little arrow here. Then I will sort it from A to Z. So let's click on this. And as you can see, all my expenses are bunched up together and all my income are also bunched up. So you can do the same thing for the net amount. You could filter it from the smallest to the biggest and vice versa. So the next tab is the monthly dashboard. In this tab, the only thing you need to set up is the year and the month. So you can use the drop-down menu to select the month you want to see. So let's say we use the drop-down menu, we can select April and then type in the date. I will leave it at 2023. So once you select the date and the year, all the rest is auto-populated. As you can see on the left hand side of the tab, you have a graph with the income versus expenses. Then just under this graph, you have your profit goal progress. So basically, it's based on the profit goal that you set up in the bookkeeping tab. Here you can see if you achieve your goal within the month or not. Then right under the profit goal progress, you will see your profit margin. If we scroll up, at the top of the page, you can see your profit for the month, and right under the net income and the net expense. Then you will see two other graphs. So the first one is for the income breakdown, and the second one is for the expense breakdown. This way you will easily see which income stream is the most profitable and where do you spend the most money. Finally, under those two graphs, you have a list of all your income and all your expenses listed from the highest to the smallest. Then you have the quarterly dashboard. The quarterly dashboard has very similar information to the monthly dashboard, but you can easily see your data over a 3 month period. So just like the monthly tab, the first thing and only thing you want to select is the date. Don't forget the rest of the tab is auto-populated for an easier use of the spreadsheet. So let's put in 2022 again. So just type in the year and then you can select the quarter. Let's select Q3. And as you can see, the information will appear by itself. So for this sheet, on the left-hand side of the sheet, you have the graph for your cash flow, where you can compare your monthly income and expense as well as your profit curve. Then right below, you have a simply summary table to see the information in numbers and your profit goal progress for this quarter, just like in the monthly tab. Then at the top, again, you have the profit and loss and your net income and net expense, as well as your profit margin. Then you have detailed graphs of your income and expense, as well as the income and expense that are listed below, again, ranked from the highest to the smallest for each month. So don't forget, all this information is auto-populated, so you don't need to touch anything. Then we have the annual dashboard. This dashboard is very similar to the two previous tabs, and the first thing you have to select is the year and the start month. Meaning that if you want to see your business performance from January 2022 to December 2022, you have to use the drop-down menu and select January. So again, write the date, the year, sorry, and then the month. So we could start in January, but we could also start the year any month. So let's say in May. So then you would see your business performance from May 2022 to April 2023. So for the rest, basically this tab shows you the data for a 12 months period. On the left-hand side, you can see again your income versus your expenses. Right below, you can see your profit goal progress. Again, those information are taken directly from the bookkeeping setup we filled in at the beginning of this video. Right below the profit goal progress table, you can see your cumulative profit over the year. If we scroll up at the top, you can visualize your profit and profit margin for this period. Right under, you can also see your net income and expense. Then you have an annual overview table of your income, your expense, your profit, profit goal, and profit margin. Basically, all this information is also summarized in all the graphs. Right beside the annual overview, you also have a graph representing your cash flow for the year. So the little bars represent the income and expense, and the line is your profit throughout the year. So just like the other tabs, you also have your income and expense breakdown, where you can see your most profitable item and where you spend your most money, and also a breakdown of your income and expense rank from the highest to the lowest. Again, all the sheet is auto-populated, so you don't need to do anything except change the date. Then we have a 5-year dashboard. So in this tab, you will be able to see your business performance over 5 years. So just like the annual dashboard, you can select any month and the spreadsheet will show you the data over a 5-year period. So again, on the left-hand side, you will have your profit margin, a graph representing your income versus your expenses, and all your profit goals progress over the past 5 years. Then if we scroll up, you can see your profit, your loss, profit margin, your net income over the 5 years, as well as your net expenses. Then you have a 5-year overview summarizing all these information. You also have a graph representing your profit versus your profit goal. Then right below, you have your cash flow over 5 years. So again, the little bars represent your income and expense, and the line is your profit throughout the years. So in my spreadsheet specifically, I didn't enter any data for 2024, 2025, and 2026. That's why it's written 0 here, and it's totally normal. Then we also have a cumulative profit over the year. Then as usual, right, like the other tabs, we have the income breakdown and the expense breakdown, as well as the details of all the income and expense ranked from the highest to the lowest. Then the next tab is the custom dashboard. This tab works the same way as all the other tabs. However, you can decide which interval of date you want to check your business performance. So double click on the date and select the date where you want to start, and then select the end date of the period you want to see. So again, if you're in Google Sheet, you can easily double click and enter a date. If you are in Excel, you will have to type in the date. So this sheet allows you to see your performance over a period of a few weeks or a few months. You decide on the interval. The rest of the information showed are the same as the other tabs. And again, everything is auto-populated. So the only thing really that you have to change is the start date as well as the end date. So now let's go to the comparison dashboard. The same thing, the comparison dashboard works just like the other tabs and lets you compare and analyze different intervals of time. It could be within the same year or an interval of time in another year. This tab could be very useful to compare your Black Friday sales with your Christmas sales within the same year, for example, or your Black Friday sales over 3 years. So this tab works the same way. To choose the interval, you need to double click on the date. In Google Sheet, you will see a little calendar and you simply have to select the date. In Excel, you will have to manually type in the date. In the column name, you can easily yourself write the information. This is not mandatory. It's basically just to help you and also give a name to all your graphs. So the information displayed in this tab is exactly the same as all the other tabs. The really key important information here is that you can select different date range and that you will easily be able to compare all of them. Then we will go to the tax tracker tab. In the tax tracker tab, you will be able to track all your sales tax paid and collected, as well as other fees. This tab also shows you the information over a 12-month period. So the first thing you want to do is to choose the start date. Again, type in the year and use the drop-down menu to select a month. All the information is auto-populated, so every time you choose a month, as you can see, everything moves. So at the top of the page, you can see the tax collected and paid, as well as the difference. Then in the graph, you will see the sales tax collected, as well as the sales tax paid over a period of 12 months. So beneath the graph, you also have summarized information, and you can see all the value in dollars. Then if we scroll down a little bit more, you will see a graph with all the fees you paid for the income and the expenses. This graph and table will help you understand the different fees your business has to pay, like shipping fees, postal fees, interest, website fees, etc. So this tab is also, again, fully automated, so you don't need to touch anything. If you want to see more information, you can just use the drop down menu to change the month. So this is a summary on how to use all the bookkeeping part of this spreadsheet. Now I will explain how to use the small business tracker part of this spreadsheet. So the first thing you want to do is to go to the Order Setup tab. Same thing, in the step 1, you can simply enter your currency symbol. So in step 2, you will have to add your business information as well as your payment information. Basically, this information will be automatically be added to the automated invoice, explained later in this video. So you simply have to type in your information. Be careful not to do any typos. So the rest is already filled in. In step 3, write your tax percentage. If you're in a country where you have 2 taxes or more, you can make the sum of the taxes. So in my case, it's 15%. Then in step 4, list all your items, write the SKU, write the type, and also write the minimum inventory. So I filled in a few examples, but we can add another one. Let's say a pen. Let's write the SKU. It's number 29. I sell it by unit. It's, let's say, $200, and the minimum inventory is 10. You also have a small section for notes if necessary. Then the next tab is the Order Overview. In the Order Overview tab, you will be able to see the yearly overview of your business performance in terms of orders. So the first thing you have to do is to set up the start date. Again, you just need to type in the year and use the drop-down menu to select a month. Same as the bookkeeping tabs, this tab is looking at the data on a 12-month period, so you can select any months to start the year. Right beneath it, you have the summary of your best seller item as well as your best customer for the year. Then on the side, you have a graph with the amount of money received each month and the amount on which you are still waiting for the payment. The best is, of course, to have all your invoices paid. Then right beside this, you have a graph comparing the amount of money invoiced, so basically the revenue for the month, and the amount of money you spent on restocking your inventory. Then in the middle, you have a comprehensive summary of the year. You can find all the information about your invoices right here. How many are paid, how many are unpaid, partially paid, paid invoiced, and overpaid invoiced. Right beside this, you also have the money value of all these invoiced, so your total invoiced in cash and total paid, as well as total unpaid. Then in the yellow table, you also have the information on your average order value, the money spent on restock, your profit, as well as profit margin. You have a small space for notes. You can also use this space as a to-do list, and you also have the status of your items. So this will be explained in the inventory tracker tab that we will see later on in this video. Then let's look at the customer tracker tab. So the customer tracker tab helps you to compile all your customer information. You can list your customer names, companies, if you're doing B2B, their address, the city, etc. So I filled in already a little bit of information, but let's do an example. So basically everything here, except the gray area, which is auto-populated, is you need to manually enter it. So let's say we have another customer AB, from company AB as well. Sorry for the typos, I just noticed. So the street, the city, it's in Montreal. Here we go. Then we have a zip code. So we are in Canada, and then let's see, email address, phone number, you see the deal. Here we go. Perfect. So you can enter all your information for your customers. So be careful when you enter this information, since those data will be used to prepare the invoice. Then on the right side of the sheet here in the yellow table, the data is auto-generated, and you will be able to know the number of order from each customer, the total amount, as well as the last order dates. This information is extracted from the order tracker that I will explain later on. So now let's check the inventory tracker. So the inventory tracker will help you never run out of stock again. So in this tab, the left-hand side is totally automated. The only information you have to enter is in the reorder tracker right here in the blue table. So every time you need to reorder stock, you can use the drop-down menu to select your product SKU. So let's take an example here. Let's say we need to order number 5. As you can see, the item name is automated. You can enter the supplier, let's say Walmart. Then the quantity you bought, let's say 50. The item cost, let's say $1. Then the order value is auto-generated. You can, if you are in Google Sheet, you can double click to select a date. If you're on Excel, you need to type it in. So let's select this date. And then we can use the drop-down menu also to select the order status. So let's say we just ordered it. You can also, as soon as the status change, so let's say now it's shipped, you can change it. And as you can see, it's color coded, so it's really easy to see. So if we look at the left-hand side, everything again is auto-populated. So for each item, you will be able to see the number of items sold, the income generated right here, the restock cost, the restock number, as well as the inventory and the minimum inventory. Don't forget, the minimum inventory was set up in the order setup. You can always change it. And then we will see a status. So basically, based on the restock, the inventory, as well as the minimum inventory, a status is auto-generated. So you will easily see which product you are out of stock, which one are in stock, and you have a small reminder here either to restock soon or it's time to reorder. Finally, at the top, you have a summary of all this information. So as you can see, in my example, I have 6 products in stock, 10 that I need to reorder, 3 that I will have to plan to reorder, and 10 that are out of stock. So this tab really helps you to keep an overview of your inventory. So now let's take a look at the order tracker. So the first thing you will want to do in the order tracker is to write a new invoice number, in this case, invoice 33. Then you will want to select a customer. Let's just take customer A. Then just double click and decide on the issue date. Let's put it on the 14th and the due date. Don't forget, if you're on Excel, you will have to type in those dates. When you will be done with this step, you can immediately scroll to the right. We will come back for this part of the spreadsheet later. So here's our invoice. You will want to start listing the items for this invoice. So let's say item 1 is a napkin, let's say in blue. This is the description that will appear on the invoice. The quantity is 5. In the gray column, you don't need to write any information. The information is automatically generated. Then you can list a second item. Let's say chairs, brown. Yeah, 4. And let's put one last item. Let's say glass. Let's skip the description. And let's say 4 as well. You can list up to 7 items in total. Then once this is finished, so once you scroll back, as you can see in the light gray zone, the amount was automatically added. It's basically the sum of all the items that you listed. Same thing for the taxes, and then you have the total amount. Once the customer have paid, you can then write the amount paid. In this case, let's say the customer paid the full invoice. I will write $418. If the customer paid more, let's say 420, as you will see, the status will change to overpaid. So now we will go to the last tab of this spreadsheet. So this tab is basically an invoice generator. So the first thing you will want to do is basically to add your own logo and add branding to this spreadsheet. Then you will choose the invoice number. Let's take our number, invoice number 33 from the previous example. So as you can see, the invoice date is the one that we chose a few minutes ago. Due date, same thing. And then in the invoice 2, all the information about the customers is automatically inputted here. Same thing for our own information. Then we can see the list of items, description that we added, and then the unit price, quantity, unit, and the total. Of course, you also have your payments details, and you can manually add a note if needed. So if you want to send this invoice to your customer, you simply print it and send it directly. I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions or concerns. Follow Priori Digital Studio on Etsy and YouTube for sneak peeks on new templates.